Look, I am a software engineer. I solve problems for a living, debug code, optimize algorithms, fix what is broken, simple, clean, logical. So when my fiancée and her mother cornered me in a back room during my own rehearsal dinner with what they probably thought was a foolproof plan, I did what I always do. I ran the numbers. The math didn't add up. Let me back up. My name's Ethan. I am 30. I live in one of those cookie-cutter suburbs in North Jersey where everyone drives a Lexus and pretends their HOA fees are an investment. I had been with Jessica for 2 years, met her at a friend's barbecue, dated for 18 months, got engaged last Christmas. She was pretty fun. Had this laugh that made you forget you were stuck in traffic on the turnpike. I thought I had found my person. I was wrong. The rehearsal dinner was at this Italian place in Short Hills, white tablecloths, valet parking, the works. I had dropped 40 grand on the wedding, $40,000. Venue, catering, flowers, photographer, the stupid ice sculpture Jessica insisted we needed because her cousin had one. I am talking about a down payment on a second property, just evaporated into 1 day of open bar and chicken marsala. But hey, you only get married once, right? That is what I told myself every time I signed another check. The dinner was going fine. My parents were there, her parents, our wedding party, about 60 people total. I had just finished giving a toast, something generic about love and partnership, and how lucky I was when Jessica leaned over and whispered, "Can we talk for a second?" Upstairs. Her mom, Susan, was already standing by the door, handbag clutched like she was about to board a lifeboat. That should have been my first red flag. Susan was one of those women who asks to speak to the manager before she even sits down at a restaurant. Full Karen energy. Highlights that cost more than my car payment. Athleisure outfits from Lululemon. And this way of saying bless your heart that made you feel like you had just been kneecapped. "Sure," I said. "Everything okay?" "Everything's perfect," Jessica said. All smiles. "We just need 5 minutes." We went upstairs to this private room the restaurant keeps for business meetings. Susan shut the door. Jessica sat down. And then her mom pulled out a manila folder like she was about to present quarterly earnings. "Ethan," Susan said, "we need to discuss something important." I looked at Jessica. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Okay," I said slowly. "What is up?" Susan opened the folder. Inside was a stack of papers, maybe 20 pages, all stapled together with those little blue legal backing sheets. The top page had postnuptial agreement printed in bold. "We had our attorney draft this," Susan said, sliding it across the table. "It is standard procedure. Just protects everyone's interests." I picked it up, started reading. And brother, let me tell you, this thing wasn't standard anything. First clause, I would assume full financial responsibility for Jessica's student loan debt, $80,000. The loans she had taken out for a degree in communications from a private college that she had never used because she wanted to find herself for a few years. Second clause, the house I had bought 3 years ago, the one I had saved for, the one that was 100% in my name because I had purchased it before we even met, would be converted to joint tenancy, 50-50 ownership. Just like that. There were other clauses. Something about a monthly household allowance I would be providing. Something else about how any inheritance I received would be considered marital property. I looked up. Susan was smiling. Jessica was examining her manicure. "This is a postnup," I said. "Correct," Susan said. "We are not married yet." Semantics. Susan waved her hand. "You will be tomorrow. We just want to get the paperwork handled now so we can all relax and enjoy the day. This says I have to pay off 80 grand of loans that aren't mine. They will be yours tomorrow," Susan said. "Once you are married, this just formalizes the arrangement, and my house becomes joint property. Community property," Susan corrected. "Much more fair. You wouldn't want Jessica to feel like a guest in her own home, would you?" I looked at Jessica. "You know I bought that house before I met you, right? You know that is not how property law works in New Jersey." She finally looked up. "Ethan, don't make this difficult. It is just a formality. My mom's lawyer said it is totally normal." "Your mom's lawyer," I repeated. "We are family now," Susan said. She leaned forward, and I caught a whiff of her perfume, something expensive and overwhelming. "And family takes care of each other. This is just putting it in writing. You love Jessica, don't you?" "I did," I said, past tense. She didn't catch it. Then this shouldn't be a problem. Susan pulled out a pen, one of those fancy Mont Blanc ones, and set it on top of the contract. Sign here, here, and here. We can get it notarized tomorrow morning before the ceremony. I looked at the pen, looked at the contract, looked at these two women who had apparently spent weeks plotting this ambush. And I did the math. They had waited until the rehearsal dinner. Everything was paid for, non-refundable deposits. The venue was booked. Guests had flown in from 3 states. They thought they had me trapped. They thought I would be so terrified of losing $40,000 and looking like a fool that I had signed anything they put in front of me. They thought I had cave. I picked up the pen. Susan's smile widened. I set it back down. No, I said. The smile evaporated. I am sorry. I am not signing this. Ethan Jessica started. Let me be clear, I said. I kept my voice calm, soft, even. This is something I learned in tech. The quieter you talk, the more people listen. This is extortion. You waited until literally the night before our wedding to spring this on me because you thought I wouldn't have a choice. You thought I would be so invested financially and emotionally that I had just roll over. That is not. Susan started. I am not done. I looked at Jessica. Really looked at her. Did you know about this? She shifted in her seat. My mom thought, did you know? Yes, she said quietly. But Ethan, it is not that big a deal. We are getting married anyway. This just protects your interests. I finished. Right, you're 80 grand in debt that you want me to pay off. Your mom's retirement plan that apparently involves my house. Susan's face was turning red. Not a cute blush. That deep crimson that means someone's about to completely lose it. If you don't sign this, she said, each word clipped, there will be no wedding tomorrow. I looked at her for exactly 5 seconds, counted them out in my head. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. You are right, I said. There will not be. I stood up, straightened my tie. Jessica was staring at me like I had just announced I was moving to Mars. Ethan, you cannot be serious, she said. We have spent $40,000. I spent $40,000, I corrected. And yeah, that sucks. But you know what sucks more? Signing away my house and my financial future to someone who has apparently been planning to bleed me dry since before we even got engaged. This is insane. Susan stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. You are throwing away your relationship over a piece of paper? No, I said. You are. You are the ones who showed up with ultimatums and lawyers. I just showed up to marry your daughter. But apparently that wasn't enough. I walked to the door, put my hand on the handle. Ethan Jessica's voice cracked. Please, don't do this. I love you. I turned around one more time. If you loved me, you wouldn't have tried to scam me. Then I opened the door and walked out. Behind me, I heard Susan's voice, shrill and furious. He is bluffing. He will be back. He will not throw away $40,000. I went downstairs, found my best man guy named Dave, known him since college. He was at the bar working on his 3rd whiskey sour. Dave, I said, I need you to do me a favor. He looked up, saw my face. What happened? Wedding's off. I will explain later. Right now I need you to help me make some phone calls. It is 9 p.m., I know. He looked at me for a second, then knocked back his drink. Okay, what do you need? Over the next 3 hours, I called every single vendor I had hired for tomorrow's wedding. Caterer, florist, DJ photographer, the venue coordinator. I need to make a change. I said to each one. The wedding is canceled, but I would like to keep the venue booking and convert it to a private family celebration. Can we do that? Most of them were cool about it. The venue lady Karen, ironically, though she was actually nice, said she had never heard of anyone doing this before. But she would make it work. The caterer said as long as I was still paying for the food, he didn't care if it was a wedding or a bar mitzvah. The DJ was the only one who pushed back. Man, I had special requests from the bride, he said. Specific songs for the first dance. Father-daughter dance. All that. None of that is happening, I said. Just play yacht rock for 6 hours. Can you do that? I can play anything for the right price. Great, keep the deposit. Just show up at noon and play Steely Dan. The last call I made was to the venue's head of security. His name was Tony. Big guy. Used to be NYPD. Tony, I said, I am Ethan Walsh. I have got the event tomorrow at the estate. Yeah, I saw the booking. Congrats. Thanks. Listen, I need to modify the guest list. Modify how? I am going to email you a list of names. These are the only people allowed in tomorrow. Anyone not on the list gets turned away at the gate, politely but firmly. This about the bride's family, Tony asked. How would you know? Been doing this 20 years. I can always tell. Don't worry, we will handle it. I hung up and looked at Dave. We were sitting in my car in the parking lot. Jessica and Susan were still inside, probably trying to figure out if I was serious. Dude, Dave said. This is nuclear. I know. You are really doing this. I really am. Respect, Dave said. He held up his hand for a high five. I left him hanging. Save it for tomorrow, I said, when Susan shows up in her mother of the bride dress and gets turned away by security. Dave started laughing. Couldn't help himself. Oh man, I wish I could see her face. You will, I said. I am putting you on door duty with Tony. The next morning, I woke up at 6, didn't sleep much, kept checking my phone, expecting angry calls or texts. Nothing. Radio silence. At 9, I got a text from Jessica. Are you really doing this? I wrote back. You had every chance to call this off last night. You didn't. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again, finally. My mom hired a lawyer. Cool, I wrote. Mine's been on retainer since last year. See you never. I blocked her number. At 10:30, I drove to the venue. The estate was this ridiculous place in Essex County. All rolling lawns and white gazebos and a main house that looked like something out of a Jane Austen novel. I had rented the whole property for the day. The vendors were already setting up. Catering tent, dance floor, the ice sculpture which was supposed to be 2 swans forming a heart, but honestly just looked like 2 confused chickens. Karen found me by the valet stand. Mr. Walsh. Everything's ready. We have converted the seating arrangements. Family style. Just like you asked. Perfect. And the guest list. Tony has it. He is at the main gate. Great. At 11:45, the first guests started arriving. My parents, my aunt and uncle, my cousins from Pennsylvania, Dave and the groomsmen. Everyone looked confused but happy to be there. Is this still happening? My mom asked. Different version, I said. But yeah, open bar, good food, free party. Enjoy at noon. 3 cars pulled up to the main gate. I couldn't see from where I was, but Dave was stationed there with Tony. He had his phone out, recording. 2 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Video message from Dave. I played it. Susan was standing outside the gate in a lavender dress that probably cost more than my first car. Jessica was next to her, and I am not kidding, her wedding dress. Full white gown, train, veil, everything. Behind them were what looked like 30 people, bridesmaids, groomsmen, Susan's entire extended family. Tony was standing at the gate, arms crossed. Madam, I am sorry, but you are not on the guest list. This is my daughter's wedding. Susan shrieked. Her voice came through tinny on the video, but the rage was crystal clear. This is a private event, Tony said. The guest list was provided by the host. You are not on it. The host. My future son-in-law is the host, I muttered, watching the video. Madam, you need to leave the property. I will not. Jessica grabbed her mom's arm. She looked directly at the camera at Dave, and I saw her face crumble. She would actually thought I was bluffing. She had shown up in her wedding dress, thinking this was all some elaborate negotiating tactic. I felt something then, not guilt, not regret, more like relief. Like I had been holding my breath for 2 years and was finally allowed to exhale. The video cut off. A text from Dave. They are leaving. Holy shit, dude. I pocketed my phone and walked into the tent. The DJ was playing Reeling in the Years. The bar was open. My uncle was already 3 drinks deep and telling stories about his time in the Coast Guard. I grabbed a whiskey Macallan 18 because screw it. I had already paid for top shelf and found my dad. Son, he said. You want to tell me what is going on? Wedding's off, I said. Turns out Jessica and her mom tried to shake me down for 80 grand and my house. So I turned the wedding into a family party instead. My dad processed this, took a sip of his beer. The ice swan stays. The ice swan stays. Then I support your decision. We clinked glasses. The party was great. Actually, no awkward forced dancing. No weird family dynamics between in-laws who had just met. Just my people, eating good food, drinking good booze, and genuinely having fun. The photographer I had hired, this artsy guy from Brooklyn, spent the whole time taking candid shots of people laughing and acting like humans instead of posing for those stiff wedding portraits nobody actually likes. Around 3 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. Mr. Walsh. A woman's voice. Professional clipped. Speaking. This is Patricia Morrison. I am an attorney representing Susan Hartley and her daughter Jessica. I am calling to inform you that we will be filing a civil suit against you for intentional infliction of emotional distress, breach of contract, and we will be seeking damages for the cost of Miss Hartley's wedding attire and related expenses. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Is something funny? Patricia asked. Yeah, I said. Actually, it is. You are going to sue me because I didn't marry someone who tried to scam me. Good luck with that, Mr. Walsh. This is a serious matter, tell you what. Patricia, you go ahead and file whatever you want. I will see you in court. But before you do, you might want to ask your clients about the 3 credit cards. Silence on the other end. I am sorry, Patricia said. The 3 credit cards, the ones Jessica opened in my name, without my knowledge or consent. You know, identity theft, federal crime. That thing people go to prison for. More silence. I will be in touch, I said, and hung up. See, here is what I hadn't told Jessica or Susan. About 6 months ago, when I was getting pre-approved for a mortgage refinance, I would run my credit report, standard stuff. And I found something weird. 3 credit cards I had never opened. Total balance, $26,000. Capital One, Chase, American Express. All in my name. All with my social security number. All opened from Jessica's laptop. I tracked the IP addresses. I had called the credit card companies. Confirmed the charges. Louis Vuitton, Gucci. A girl's trip to Miami with her friends that I definitely didn't know about. Spa days. Dinners at places I had never been. I had been sitting on that information for months, trying to figure out what to do. Part of me wanted to believe there was an explanation. That maybe it was a mistake. That maybe Jessica would come clean. She never did. So I had kept copies of everything. Bank statements, credit card bills, the police report I had filed but hadn't pursued. All of it in a folder on my computer, encrypted and backed up to 3 different cloud services. When Susan showed up with that postnuptial agreement, it all clicked into place. This wasn't about love or marriage or building a life together. This was a con. Jessica was the bait. Susan was the closer, and I was supposed to be the sucker who signed his life away because he was too in love or too embarrassed to walk away. Not happening. 2 weeks later, I got a court summons. Susan had actually filed the lawsuit, small claims court, asking for $12,000 in damages, the wedding dress, her dress, hair, and makeup for the bridal party, even the cost of the hotel rooms they had booked for out-of-town guests. I called my attorney, guy named Robert Chen. Wait, scratch that. Robert Martinez. He had handled the closing on my house. Robert, I said, I need you for something weird. How weird? I explained the situation. The canceled wedding, the lawsuit, the credit card fraud. Oh, Robert said. Oh, this is good. This is really good. Can you send me all the documentation? Everything? Everything. Everything. Credit reports. Police report, the postnup they tried to get you to sign, emails, text messages. If you have got smoke signals, send those too. I sent him the files. 3 days before the court date, Robert called me back. Ethan, I need you to sit down. I am sitting. We are not going to court. We are not. Number because I called Susan's attorney. Explained that if we go to court, I am going to bring up the credit card fraud. I am going to introduce evidence that Jessica committed identity theft, a federal crime. And I am going to strongly suggest that Susan was complicit, given that she was pushing the postnup that would have made you responsible for all marital debts. What would she say? She hung up. Then she called back 10 minutes later and said her clients are dropping the suit. I felt a smile spread across my face. Just like that? Not quite. I told her we are not dropping the criminal complaint. I already forwarded everything to the local PD and the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Jessica's going to have to deal with this one way or another. Can they prosecute? Oh yeah, this is textbook identity theft. The fact that you were engaged doesn't matter. She forged your signature, used your SSN, and racked up debt in your name. That is a felony. How much trouble is she in? Without a deal, 3 to 5 years probably. But here is the thing: she can make this go away. If she pays you back full restitution plus damages. That is usually how these things shake out. How much are we talking? The fraudulent charges, plus the hit to your credit score, plus emotional damages, plus legal fees. I would say we ask for $40,000. I started laughing. What? Robert asked. That is exactly what I spent on the wedding. Poetic justice, Robert said. So should I send the letter? Send it. 1 week later, Jessica's lawyer called Robert. They wanted to negotiate. My client is willing to pay $15,000, Patricia said. 40, Robert said. That is outrageous. She doesn't have that kind of money. Then she can get it from her mom, or she can go to prison. Her choice. 2 days later, 25. 40. Mr. Martinez, be reasonable. Your client committed a federal crime. I am being extremely reasonable by offering her a way out of this that doesn't involve a trial. 40,000. Full restitution. Or we see her in federal court. The next call came from Susan directly. She would somehow gotten my number. You bastard, she hissed when I picked up. You are ruining my daughter's life. No, I said. Your daughter ruined her own life when she committed fraud. I am just holding her accountable. She made a mistake. She was going to pay you back, with my own money. After I married her and took on her debt. Great plan. We can work this out, please. Just drop the charges. We will pay you back over time. 40,000, I said. Lump sum? Certified check. Then I will ask the DA to drop the charges. I don't have $40,000. Then I guess you had better figure it out, because if Jessica gets convicted, she is going to have a criminal record. Good luck finding a job with a felony on your sheet. She started crying, full breakdown, sobbing into the phone. I hung up. 3 weeks later, Robert called me. You are not going to believe this. Try me. Susan sold her car, pulled money out of her 401k, took out a personal loan. She has got the 40,000. You are kidding. I have got the bank draft right here, made out to you. Huh? Want me to deposit it? Yeah, I said. And send a letter to the DA confirming that full restitution has been made and we are recommending no jail time done. Ethan? Yeah. This was one of the weirdest cases I have ever handled, and I once represented a guy who tried to sue his neighbor for teaching his parrot to swear. Glad I could keep things interesting. I took the 40,000 and paid off the last of my mortgage. Debt-free at 30, not bad. The wedding venue sent me a refund check for the deposits they had been able to recover. Turned out the florist and the DJ were both cool about canceling last minute since I had been honest with them. Got back about $6,000 total, and then I remembered. The honeymoon. I had booked 2 first-class tickets to Maui, resort right on the beach, scuba diving, helicopter tours, the whole romantic package. Non-refundable, of course. The trip was scheduled for 2 weeks after the wedding. That wasn't. I called Dave. Hey man, I said. You busy in 3 weeks? Why? How do you feel about Hawaii? I feel great about Hawaii. Business class tickets. 5-star resort. I will cover everything except your bar tab. Dude. Yes, obviously yes, but why? Wedding gift to myself, I said. Figured I should celebrate not making the biggest mistake of my life. We spent a week in Maui, played golf every day, drank Mai Tais on the beach, went spearfishing. Dave got so sunburned that he looked like a lobster, but he didn't care. Neither did I. On the last night, we were sitting on the resort's patio watching the sunset. Dave was on his 4th beer. I was working on a whiskey neat. Can I ask you something? Dave said. Shoot. Do you regret any of it? The wedding, the money? Jessica. I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I said. I regret not seeing who she was earlier, but the money, that is just money. I will make more, and better to lose $40,000 now than lose half of everything in a divorce 5 years from now. True, plus, I said. I got a pretty good story out of it. Dave laughed. Understatement of the century. We clinked glasses and watched the sun drop into the Pacific. The sky went orange, then pink, then purple. Tourist families were taking pictures. Couples were holding hands, and I felt completely, totally fine. Better than fine. Actually, because here is what I learned. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Don't make excuses. Don't rationalize. Don't convince yourself that love will fix it or that they will change. Jessica showed me exactly who she was when she tried to make me sign that contract. Susan showed me exactly who she was when she came up with the plan in the first place. And I showed them exactly who I was when I walked away. Some people think that is cold, that I should have given Jessica another chance, that I should have been more understanding. Those people can go ahead and marry someone who commits identity theft. See how that works out. Me, I am good. I have got my house. I have got my freedom. I have got a credit score that is slowly recovering and a bank account that is rebuilding. And I have got the memory of Susan's face when security turned her away from her daughter's wedding that wasn't. That alone was worth 40 grand. A few months after we got back from Hawaii, I ran into one of Jessica's bridesmaids at a coffee shop in Hoboken. Girl named Amanda. She had always been nice to me, Ethan. She looked genuinely happy to see me. Oh my God. How are you? I am great, I said. You? Good. Listen, I just wanted to say, what happened with Jessica? That was crazy, but I don't blame you. Yeah. I mean, nobody knows this. But she tried to pull the same thing with her last boyfriend. Different angle, but same idea. Got him to co-sign a lease, then stuck him with the rent when she moved out. I stared at her. Seriously? Her mom's always been like that. Super materialistic. Taught Jessica that relationships are basically transactions. I love her, but, Amanda shrugged. You dodged a bullet. Multiple bullets, I said. Fair. She smiled. Musing on Hondi's golf. Right climbing. Things that don't permit fraud. Smartman. We said goodbye. I walked back to my car and sat there for a minute thinking Jessica had done this before, to someone else. And she probably would have kept doing it if I hadn't called her bluff. Some people go through life thinking they are entitled to other people's money, other people's work, other people's success. They look for marks. For people who are too nice, too trusting, too afraid of confrontation. I used to be that person. The one who avoided conflict, who tried to keep everyone happy, who would rather lose money than lose face. Not anymore. These days I run my credit report every month. I have got alerts set up for any new accounts opened in my name. My passwords are all unique, stored in an encrypted vault. I am not paranoid, I am just not stupid. And when I eventually start dating again, there is going to be a conversation. Early on, about money, boundaries, expectations, the kind of conversation that makes some people uncomfortable. Good. If it makes them uncomfortable, they are not my person. My person, whoever she is, will appreciate honesty, will bring her own money to the table, will not need her mom to draft up a contract because she will be a grown adult who handles her own business. Until then, I am good. I have got my house in Jersey, my job that pays well, my friends who showed up for me when it mattered, my family who had my back, and I have got this story. This absolutely insane, could not make it up if I tried story. Sometimes people ask me if I am bitter, if I hate Jessica, if I wish things had worked out differently. The answer's no. I don't hate her. I just understand her now. She is a product of her upbringing. Susan raised her to see relationships as negotiations, love as leverage. That is sad. Honestly, must be exhausting to go through life like that. But that is not my problem anymore. My problem is deciding whether to replace my furniture or save for a new car, whether to take the promotion at work that comes with more stress but better pay, whether to try that new ramen place that opened downtown. Normal problems. Good problems. The kind of problems that don't involve federal crimes or emergency court dates or security guards turning people away from their own daughter's wedding. Dave asked me once if I would do anything differently. Yeah, I said. I would have run her credit report before I proposed. He laughed. Thought I was joking. I wasn't, but you live and learn. You pay attention to red flags. You trust your gut when something feels off. You remember that actions speak louder than words, and that anyone who really loves you will not try to shake you down for 80 grand and your house. And when someone shows up with a contract and an ultimatum on the night before your wedding, you walk away. Every single time, because your peace is worth more than any relationship. Your integrity is worth more than any wedding. Your freedom is worth more than someone else's approval. I learned that the hard way, but I learned it, and I am never forgetting it. So here is to rehearsal dinners that end early, to weddings that don't happen, to $40,000 spent on the best education money can buy, and here is to the ice sculpture swan that looked like a confused chicken. That stupid bird is in every photo from the party, melting slowly in the background while my family and friends celebrated my escape from the worst decision I almost made. I have got a framed print of it on my desk now. Reminder of what matters. Reminder of what doesn't. Reminder that sometimes the best decision you can make is the one that everyone else thinks is crazy. I am Ethan Walsh. I am 30 years old. I am single. I am debt-free, and I am doing just fine.